Hello, Holt Public, and thank you for spending some time with us today and for your ongoing support and dedication. My, how far we've come over just a few short years. As I look back at some of my notes and topics that I've talked with you about during the past few occasions, such as this, it dawned on me that those messages have really centered on a few personal requests that I had hoped would encourage us all to come together and work together to move forward with the positive momentum that is the leadership strength of Dr. David Hornak. I've talked about how Holt Public has some of the most dedicated and compassionate people with unparalleled skill and technical knowledge. I've said that rather than being reactive, Holt is comprised of forward-thinking, innovative professionals. I've said that together we are strong, we are caring, we do what is right for all students, and we are uniquely Holt. And just last year, I reiterated that we believe in the power of positive thinking, that we believe there is always a way forward when we work together with a positive, healthy, and collaborative spirit. We believe in our students, and we believe in each other. Then I ended that message with the fact that we are Holt Rams and we are ready, not just to face the future, but to shape it. Every one of those past thoughts and speeches have always been intended to share an uplifting and genuine message of thanks and appreciation for you all, hoping to point us in a unified and unstoppable trajectory that would leave no doubt that the future of Holt Public Schools continued to be bright. Well, here we are, a couple of years in, and yes, the future is still bright. But we also believe that it's time to start taking a healthy look back at our recent past. Sometimes that takes courage and can be a little daunting, especially when you have such lofty goals and aspirations and expectations like those that define Holt-Dimondale Public Schools. Although in this case, it is truly exciting to see and review exactly what's been unfolding over just 2 short years. For instance, our new superintendent has now settled in completely and confidently and very competently, as he has been having significant daily and district-wide impact. We have many new faces, from board members, administrators, teachers, and staff. We have familiar faces in new roles, from the curriculum office to our North Campus and the Early Learning Center. And we have a renewed emphasis and excitement on several educational initiatives, some brand new and some reinvigorated as they really start to take fruition with expanding definition. So yes, as we continue the positive momentum that was jump-started a few short years ago, and as we continue to move forward together by digging even deeper into what we originally intended for our unique secondary opportunities, watching them evolve as hoped and expected, taking on even further developed form in what we now call pathways to, through, and beyond graduation. And as we continue to respond to the developmental needs of our youngest students by creating new transitional opportunities into and through our brand new Pathways to Kindergarten initiative, which further strengthens our initial investment and commitment to those earliest of learners, seeing the anticipated and steady growth of the Early Learning Center at Midway. Indeed, the preparation and development of what was some strategic planning and implementation timelines, along with the dreams and aspirations of some forward-thinking educational professionals just a handful of years ago, it is undeniable that the future is bright and it is upon us. So thank you for all that you've done and taken part in over the past few years. I leave you not only with that retrospective glance at just how far we've come, but also with the continued message and reminder that we are stronger together, and it's still just the beginning of even more great things to come. In closing, I simply ask you here and now to recognize and applaud yourselves and each other, because while that exciting future is not only bright, again I say Holt Public Schools' future is most certainly now. Thank you all.
Over the course of the past year, we've been studying the rules of the red rubber ball at the admin level. It's also served as a community read. I urge you to pick up a copy as Kevin Carroll outlines several steps for success. Everyone needs to have a red rubber ball, which is your passion. What do you chase day after day? He believes you need to commit to it, seek out encouragers, work out your creative muscle, prepare to shine, speak up. Really, what are you going to fight for each day? Expect the unexpected, and sometimes in Holt we have learned to navigate that and maximize the day. What a year. As we look back, I started last fall with a paragraph out of the book Professional Capital, and I'm going to read it to you again. We are at a new crossroad in educational reform. Let us remember the solutions can go either way, getting tougher on teachers or figuring out how to realistically develop a profession that becomes more inspiring, tough, and challenging in itself. This requires leadership, but the kind of leadership that reconciles and integrates external accountability with personal and collective professional responsibility. It is the leadership that focuses on developing teachers' professional capital as individuals, as teams, and as a profession. Our new Marzano tool helps us develop professional capital as individual teams, as individuals, and as a profession. As you can see on the screen here, there's about 7 inches of documentation. Yes, those are my Marzano binders. I was challenged and asked by the board to make visible much of our work. By no means is this a comprehensive look at all of our work, but it is a nice snapshot. Again, I've submitted this to the board for review, and in the near future, I'll be receiving the feedback from our Board of Education. Next up, we have a quick update from our Executive Director of Curriculum and Staff Development, Mr. Steve Netzel.
Hello, Holt Public Schools. I would like to take the time to share with you 2 different initiatives from the Curriculum Office. The first initiative that I'd like to share with you is Transitional Kindergarten. As President Zajac mentioned earlier in her communication to you, the piece of Pathways to Kindergarten, but specifically the goal of Transitional Kindergarten is to implement a program that creates a bridge between current learning experience and kindergarten. Within this program, here are a few expectations. 1 is it will be a full day. 2 is it's expected to have exposure to kindergarten content standards, purposeful play and hands-on activities, and finally class-wide instruction on social and social-emotional skills. We had a team come together that was made up of classroom teachers, support staff, administration, and instructional coaches that worked through this process over a 4-month period to make it the most smooth transition for our students from transitional kindergarten to kindergarten. Second initiative I'd like to share with you is our truancy initiative, K6. The goal was to reduce the number of students absent 10 or more days. This initiative arose from our work in the fall with the Board of Education. Dr. Hornak took the opportunity to share with our board and administration the number of students that had missed 10 or more days, and upon that data review, this was a focus area for our district. The behavior interventionists came together as a group and we established a consistent process. We're trying to be proactive versus reactive with our absenteeism. We are increasing communication with home, celebrating success within building classrooms, progress monitoring monthly the outcomes, and in the spring we will reevaluate the process and make appropriate adjustments for the 17-18 school year. The goal is to continue this work K6 and continue to move to a 7-12 in the near future. With that, I'd like to introduce to you our Director of Student Achievement, Jessica Cotter.
This is Jessica Cotter, your Director of Student Achievement, aka Secondary Systems Specialist, which is a name I have bestowed upon myself. I think it explains a little more of what I do since I get asked that question a lot. I have 2 kind of buckets that I anchor a lot of my work into that I'd like to share with you today. The first one being our student support system for the secondary level. So most of this work is around how we are identifying our indicators for student success at the secondary level, and then basically determining what areas of need our students have and how we can respond most efficiently and effectively to those needs. One of the things that many of you may have seen at this point is a calendar at the secondary level, an MTSS calendar that will help guide us and focus our attention to our curriculum, instruction, and assessment in kind of a cycle so that we are attentive to the specific needs that students have and making sure we're addressing those needs. The second bucket would be student pathways, and some of you may have noticed this year a shift in our secondary structure by adding a secondary programs coordinator that Ann Coe has moved into that position. This coordinator kind of embodies this larger change as we start to focus on helping students think about their future goals, starting in 8th grade with the Educational Development Plan and continuing that process through 12th grade, ensuring their choices of classes and experiences match the pathway experience that they are interested in achieving. Looking ahead for curriculum office, two areas that Steve and I are focusing on are the Marzano evaluation tool, making sure we're using it as effectively as we can. We'll be looking at our data from the year and thinking about how to continue support you on that tool next year, and then thinking about our professional development plan for the 17-18 school year. Next up would be the budget.
Thank you, Jessica. Well, if I was out there sitting next to my armchair buddy, I would like, this is kind of different and awkward, and I certainly believe it is, but we are all committed here to giving you the state of the budget and looking towards the future. And usually I am walking up the stairs, I got a quick joke, I'm gonna get us all ready to hear some really boring stuff. It limbers up my lips, but you know, now as I talk today and we go and we do things differently, I am committed to only one spreadsheet with numbers on them. And when we get there, actually we're going to look back because really where we're going, we need to have a little context and we need to look back to make sure we're going forward. And I want to set the stage for you. Remind you where we have been. If you look at the first column on the far left, the actual 2014, there are some power numbers that you may want to look at. Number one is the loss of students. In 2014, we lost 34 students. And at that time, when we closed the year, we also had a net loss of 813,000. Actually, we have not had a net income since 2008. So we were still losing income. We were still dipping into our fund balance. And so we had a big loss. We knew we still had some chores to do. If you look at the next column, which is the actual of 2015, we again lost 72 students. But because of the reductions that we had made, the reconfigurations, at that time when we closed our books, we only had a loss of 227,000, $250,000 loss. And so we were moving in the right direction, but we were still losing and our expenditures were greater than our revenues at that point in time. We get to closing out the budget for 2016 and our actual, we once again had lost 65 students. That is a concern that we need to look at and are looking at. But in that, we had overcome our expenditures. We had right-sized the district. All of you out there had spread the work. We are doing more with less. And we had finally, since 2008, had finally gotten revenues greater than expenditures again. And so if you remember the Board of Education, that was a specific goal in 2016, but a larger goal for our Board of Education is that our fund balance will be at 10%. They haven't asked us to do that in a year or 2 years. We are slowly getting to the 10% goal, which is a policy of our Board of Education. And now we get to the year 2017. These are not actual numbers. The last column is our budgeted numbers. And we have again, which is not a budget number, we have actually lost 91 students in this budget year. We are predicting a loss of $250,000, and many of you are rolling your eyes because we always predict greater expenses than we actually expend because we have money for overtime and heat and lights and substitutes that don't all get spent. And so by the time that we finalize this fiscal year of 2017, we are hoping to eke out a zero-based budget. And a zero-based budget means that your revenues equal your expenditures. So we want to be pretty close to those, a zero-based budget, meaning your revenues and your expenditures equal the same. And so where are we going in the school year 17-18? Well, we're going to do exactly as we have done in the 16-17 budget. Once again, we are looking forward to planning and configuring to breaking even in the 17-18 and having a zero-based budget. Our revenues equal our expenditure. So the things that we are considering right now, and we have many moving parts today as we sit in May. We do have some good news. We know at the state of Michigan, between the governor, the Senate, and House, they are proposing a $94 to $113 increase in the per pupil allocation. That's good news. We also know that they have at-risk funding, additional, but there are new requirements with that we have to take into consideration. There are no signed bills yet, but we do know that they're working forward in the process on that. Of great concern is that our district is still losing students. We are projecting for that. We're researching that. I think that you have seen in this presentation several things that are happening to retain the students that we have already. Another pressure on our budget is the Ingham Intermediate School District is projecting a loss of 2 to 4% in their fundings for the public schools in our county. There is pending legislation in Lansing that cyber schools like Nexus and K-12 Academy will now get special ed funding also, and that will dilute the pot, and so there will be a reduction in the special ed funding. We have teacher retirements and resignations, support staff resignations. We're bargaining with all 5 unions. The retirement rate is increasing. Insurance hard caps are increasing. So you can see that there are many moving parts today as we're still speaking. But really, when we look forward, there seems to be a focus from the administration of the priorities of all of the money that we have are programs that support the students of Holt Public Schools. And I think that you have just heard of many of them from Steve and Jessica. So when we put it all together for 2017-18, tonight we will be reviewing all of the assumptions with the Board of Education on May 8th tonight, and we are working towards the June 12th Board of Education meeting to adopt the budget for 17-18. Thanks, and I'll see you in August.
As we wrap this screencast up, I would like you to imagine the possibilities for the 2017-18 school year. As you know, we're going to be starting our traditional calendar schools before Labor Day. We have expanded our elementary systems, specifically the addition of transitional kindergarten. We are starting to develop a more flexible secondary system. We will have a new website and a new strategic plan. With that strategic plan, we are working with our district leadership team to develop a district vision and plan to be rolled out in the fall, although a sneak peek is coming soon, and working with our building administrators to align the vision and plan to the building and district projects moving forward. As we finish strong, I just would like to read one little passage from Kevin Carroll's book, Rules of the Red Rubber Ball. And it's the number 1 pillar, commit to it. The desire to follow your red rubber ball must come from deep within you. The urge should feel irresistible, as if it is percolating up from your soul. I remain committed to leading Holt Public Schools into the future. It is with great pride and an enthusiasm that I share a sneak peek at our new vision. Inspire, educate, innovate. Enjoy.